Welcome back to the Marching to Madness College Basketball Podcast with my good friend Kyle Smith out at Washington State. They were a fifth place finish in the Pac-12 last season, and the Cougars went to the Final Four in the NIT. Coach, welcome back.
All right, thanks for having me, Ken. Always good to be here.
Oh, yeah. Now, you guys moved forward last season as you had a defense that allowed only 41.5% from the floor. And that was good. And then you think about, well, their opponents only scored 64.9 points per game. So talk a little bit about your manufacturing of the defense and maybe a few things that made it work that well.
Well, even when we first got here 3 years ago, it was a commitment to, hey, we got to get competitive. We're going to have to get good defensively. And we built on it each year. And last year's our third year, and we led the Pac-12 in shot blocks. To be honest, we just had a lot of ways to protect the rim. We had three tremendous shot blockers, and we were able to force some turnovers, and we've just been driven to be good there. Now moving forward, I don't know if we without FA moving on to the pros, and we won't have Deshaun for most of the season. Maybe we'll get him back late in the season. So we lost a little bit of that. So we'll have to be a little more creative and different the way we defend, but it'll still be a priority for us.
Yeah. Now, Muhammad, your 6'11" center, he could be in position to be a consistent leading scorer, right? As he shot 49% from the floor then at 6'11". How about his shot blocking ability?
No, he's a good shot blocker. We're a little thin inside, but he makes us a better team offensively. But he's more like a Evan Mobley or a, type player, or a Kevin Garnett. That's like our Rasheed Wallace kind of thing. But he can do that. But he's really developed after going through the draft process and gaining some confidence, and really improved his shooting, and it's really all he's lacking in being a really good NBA player. I think it's just the experience. He just hasn't played as much basketball as some of these guys, but he's just a really natural field, natural athlete, and he's going to lead the way for us.
That's good. And then you've got a kid there that I watched play at Auburn as a freshman, and then he got a cup of coffee at Tennessee in a few games. But it's Justin Powell. Now, he averaged 11.7 points, 6.1 boards, and 4.7 assists at Auburn. So if he plays at that level and even gets better, how big of a key will he be for you at that point?
I think, I think that's kind of why Justin resettled here. It's kind of a good spot for him to kind of recapture where he was as a freshman. He's older. He's a better player. Tennessee, they were ninth in the country, just a really good team. And he had a role there, but it wasn't the role that, he was at Auburn. So I think if he can play to that level, that's an all-conference performer. Now he missed some time because he had a knee issue, tendonitis, severe tendonitis, something but he missed about 5 months just to get healthy, and he was playing with it at Tennessee. So we're hoping that'll usually take time, but he's a good basketball player, really efficient offensive player, good shooter, elite passer with good size, and he can settle us down. And, he's just getting used to playing that role will be the biggest thing. But he's been good for us, and I expect him to hopefully do well and kind of lead us there.
Yeah, I'll be interested in watching him play, just knowing of him and seeing him, as a freshman. So that's good. It's a good.
Yeah. We're excited. He's been. It's too early to play games, but he's been a very pleasant surprise because he's such a well-mannered young man. He's very Southern. It's a good fit. It's like Pullman. This is a low-key place. He's a pretty low-key guy, and his teammates like him. He's getting along. You never know in the transfers how they're gonna assimilate. He's done a good job there. He's battling a little injury right now, but I think it's really just about getting healthy and getting the reps.
Yeah. Now you got Miles Rice and Dylan Darling, a pair of freshmen. Where will they make their biggest impacts for you?
Well, unfortunately, Miles Rice was just diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, so we were battling through that and feel terrible. And then obviously, most important thing is getting him back to health. But he really made a sacrifice for our program last year by redshirting. He was good enough to earn considerable minutes. We just had a lot of depth and some older guys. I just thought it'd be, hey, let's get you stronger, older, more mature, ready to handle this. So we'll look forward to getting him healthy, getting him back. And then Dylan Darling is actually a freshman, more of they're different. They'll play well together in the future. But Dylan's a pure point guard. Just a kind of like I compare him like Aaron Kraft was for Ohio State. He's from Spokane. His dad played football here, played in the NFL. Mom was a cheerleader at Washington State. So he's got the DNA, and he is just a tough competitor, really good defender, really good athlete, really good penetrator, really good passer. Averaged 32 a game in high school. So there's just a bright future for them, and we're really excited. He complements Justin to Powell very well in that capacity. Like where Justin would have some, with quicker guards defensively, he can really offset that, and they play well together.
I was doing my research on, your team and everything, and I saw where he averaged 33.2 last year, around 32, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
hard to do.
I know, if you think about it, in 32 minutes in a high school game, it's a point a minute.
Well, hey, it's a funny story because he was really not on the radar. He changed, during COVID, it changed AAU programs, and he didn't average a lot as a junior. And he just started having this explosive senior year, and we're like, we better. And someone up there, there's an alum, just said, "Hey, this guy, I don't know where he is on your radar, but he's had 3 50-point games, and he plays in the same league that Adam Morrison played in. He's breaking Adam Morrison's records." And I was like, well, that's about enough for me. And then I was like, oh my goodness. And then both his parents went here, and his dad was an NFL player. So I was like, there's a lot of great quality. And it's really testament. What we'd like to do is have guys from the state, and him being really local. He brings a lot of things on the court and off the court.
Sure. Now, TJ Bamba is your leading returning scorer. On the offensive end, what are his most consistent abilities?
Well, he is really taking a step forward on his scoring, and he's our captain, where he's become a very good three-point shooter, which was always, if he's able to do that, we knew we'd have a good player, because he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. He's 6'5", 220 pounds, NBA athlete. But he's also become a much more proficient ball handler, better decision maker. Having guys like Justin Powell and Jabe Mullins, who I'm sure we'll talk about, they complement him well. So there's more floor spacing for him, and Andre Yakimovsky. So I expect him to make be anywhere from 12 to 15 points a game, which would be a big jump. And he's ready for it. His mindset, his maturity, his leadership. So we're excited about him.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the skills of Jaden Mullins. What are his key pieces that he'll bring to you?
You know what? It's funny is that Jabe is not a lot different than Justin. Maybe more of a 2-3 that can play, but he's a really good passer. He's good in pick and roll, so he kind of play point guard too at sometimes. He just hasn't had as much experience. He played in a really good program. Played St. Mary's, about their 8th man, similar to what they were top 20, and Justin was playing in a top 10 program. Same thing. And he's a in-state guy. He was former 4A state player of the year, like Dylan. So it's another test. And we couldn't get him out of high school. Now he's coming back, but he gives us another guy that can really, really skillful, dribbling, passing, shooting, unselfish, floor spacing, and really makes everyone better. So he's done a really good job, and hopefully, he becomes an anchor in our program. Oops, sorry.
It's okay. Hey, you got an interesting player, because I was a big fan of his dad back when he was pulling those rebounds down for the Chicago Bulls, DJ Rodman. Now him and Andre Yakimovsky, am I right?
Yakimovsky.
Yakimovsky.
Call him Yaki.
Yaki. Okay.
Yaki, yeah. I like it with a southern accent. Yaki.
Yaki, yeah.
Good.
Hey, both those guys look like they might be a 3 or a 4 in your offense. Is that correct?
We call them sevens. They are
sevens.
They're 3 and 4s. They're 3 4s. They're sevens. And they helped us out a lot last year. Some of our biggest plus minus lineups were actually when they played forwards together because they cause matchup problems both ends. They're they can stretch the floor as a stretch four, and they both put on the floor. Andre's more of a playmaker. Andre, Justin, and Jabe are kind of all similar in the sense that they can really get the ball moving. And I've been telling people our teams will look a little more like the San Francisco and Columbia teams I coach. I think just with their skill level, not as much the shot blocking that we've had. So I'm trying to prepare people what they're seeing, but DJ is one of the best offensive rebounders in the country when he's at the small forward. But he also can play power forward too, and he's a good defender and got a lot of intangibles that his dad did. He's just not quite the same size and athlete, but he's got a really, really smart, really tough, really good rebounder. And he didn't shoot the ball as well last year, and we're hoping he regains his. I think he will because he's had a really good summer, really good preseason, and he's older now. He's mature. He's a fourth-year player, and both those guys, like the guys that stayed in the program and stayed with it, or they've got a lot of experience, and I just feel like they've elevated our expectations and they've matched it with their work ethic.
Very good. Hey, I wanted to ask you about this. The rumor is we're going to see NCAA tournament expansion. How do you feel about that? Do you think it will actually happen, or is it just talk?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm a very fervent supporter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They had and I would love to be a commissioner someday, or just so. But I think what was proposed to me is that they're talking about eliminating the NIT, I guess, or some capacity, or because I think NCAA owns both. So expanding in that way where they don't want to lose the automatic qualifiers. Yet there's some other power conference teams that they're probably maybe better talent. I think we'd fall in that bucket. I said, I said, like, look, the Pac-12, no one knew we were good 2 years ago. We had a Final Four team, 3 Sweet 16 teams, 2 Final 8 teams. And I think I think it's more, especially for Washington State, but I just think for our league to get that exposure and opportunity. And also, I think if they do it right, those teams that are, instead of having those 116 games, which, we've had one winner ever, well, those teams that are automatic qualifiers are maybe, below 100 in the net. Well, they probably play say it's 96, say like 65 through 96 and kind of play a play-in or 2 play-in rounds to get it in the field. And then those games are going to be more competitive, almost like the play-in 11-11 games. So, and I think if it adds an extra week, great. Who gets tired of a little more March Madness? And
really?
I just think there's some programs invested. I think that's the pressure's like, hey, we have this special tournament, which everyone knows. Part of it is having the underdogs access, and I've coached to that level. I think let's not deny them access. But since there is more of a concentration, I think, of the power teams financially, they're more invested, and there's probably a few more better teams, and we can open the door a little bit for some of those as well.
Oh yeah, when I read about this, my idea was 96 teams. You have 32 buys, so you play up like that, and then you got your tournament. You could play those.
So when you get to 64, which is what you're used to, I think you're right, and that's basically, and like I said, like when you get to the last 4 in and the first 4 out, that you can throw a hat over those teams. They're all the same.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's how balanced it is. 2 years ago, UCLA was 11 seed, got to the Final Four, and good team, obviously, So now they're playing Michigan State in the 11-11 game. So it's like, well, if those teams get all the way, they can get all the distance, and there's 4 more that didn't get in. Plus, then you do make it competitive for the AQs, like I said. So it's basically absorbing the NIT, which the NCAA and NIT right now would be at 100, I think. So I think 96 is the number. That's what I'd like to see. And I think now if you get past 96, I do think you'd be searching for some teams. I think you'd be searching a little bit, but with the number of teams, Division I, it's like 25% would qualify, and it'd be pretty good.
Be pretty good. Yeah. Hey, you're talking about the NIT. You guys made it to the Final Four there, and you finished 5 in a tough Pac-12, which when I went back and did the research, I thought they were totally underrepresented in the NCAA tournament. So
You know, it was that's what I said, like it was an odd year in the sense that our net was 44 when it was all finished up. But we didn't have the quad one wins and that stuff. But there's three good teams, but we had really top to bottom were pretty good. And just for us to be able, to become a postseason team, getting NIT was an accomplishment, something we haven't done in a while. And then to advance, and then get used to have that confidence in your program. Winning a game was a big step, and then winning two on the road against really good teams and getting to New York, I think really, put a lot of juice in our program, a lot of pride, and people something to get excited about, and hopefully we're poised to make the next step. Which would be an NCAA tournament bid.
That's cool. That would be great. Hey, last thing, we're in an analytics era in all sports. I was just curious. I know you're really into that as well, or we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
What are the key analytics for your program, and then how do you use those?
Well, you know what? It's hard to describe because we keep about 50 stats. And the best way in like Muhammad, someone asked him in the press conference what he said. He said, well, it's like a cheat code. It gives you the cheat code. And I think that's the best way. It really just makes you more efficient player if you're willing to invest and get the feedback. And for us, it's our internal efficiency rating is really what it is. And it's nothing more than this. It's winning plays minus non-winning plays divided by possessions. And that's how we determine, like, well, these are the guys that are making the most winning plays. And it really, and the last piece of it is for us, it's quantifying the intangibles, like what makes you win that doesn't show up on a box score. It's beyond points, rebounds, assists, steals, you see on box score. So it could be blockouts, loose balls, deflections, passing is a big part of it. So, I mean, that's a long-winded answer, but that's the best way I can say it. It's really improving the quality of your play every possession, both sides of the ball. So honestly, to the naked eye, you can't necessarily tell the improvement. That's what I think. So that's why watching the film, giving them feedback, evaluating them, and how they take that information in, improving. We've had good success in building individual talent that's improved, but also the group playing together, and hopefully, like I said, we can make another step forward.
Oh, that's good. I always enjoy getting your opinions on things like that. I think the first time we ever did, a phone interview or whatever, we were talking about it. Coach Kyle Smith of the Washington State Cougars, roaring through the Pac-12 here up to the 5 last year. We'll see what you do this year.
Hey,
I wish you the best.
Ken, we count that as third. USC and UCLA are gone.
Yeah, I see a year on that.
We're third last year. No.
Third last year.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, great to see you, and I wish you the best this year.
I appreciate the time. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah.